Alrighty.
Boys, I'll be honest with you. I'm coming up on time, but I have a couple topics I wanted to just run by you
Yeah,
both.
let's do some
Rapid
For
rapid
fire.
fire.
sure.
Let's do some rapid fire for the next like 6 minutes, 6, 7 minutes, and then
Okay.
we'll
I'm
call
going
it
to
good.
interview the two of you. You guys answer my questions, all right? What the
Okay.
hell is Dallas doing? What is Dallas doing? Somebody give me an idea. I can't even come up with what that trade was. I don't even have a clue what that was.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, man. Like that's just
Do you guys have any like idea what the logic might even be behind that?
maybe they're departing with Hardaway. That's the only thing I can think of. Like I just
Yeah,
don't.
clear
I maybe they're
space.
departing with Hardaway this summer, and he's an assurance. I don't know what that was about either. So
I think they're just
Ernie, what
hoping
do you
for.
think about
I
that?
think they're just hoping for a two-guard system. They're hoping that you have Luka Doncic is kind of like another guard that can bring up the rock besides him. I think that was the biggest takeaway. I think we talked about it. We actually talked about it 3 years ago, Pete, when Luka Doncic was a rookie, and when he was supposedly supposed to go to the Kings, right? We talked about
Mhm.
like now you have another guard with De'Aaron Fox that could like bring up the ball with him and doesn't necessarily have to always hold the ball and have the offense run through him. Because I think like as much as you love that to happen, I just think it tires Luca out, and you bring in Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't think it's necessarily the right trade, but I think they could have gone a little bit more for Porzingis. But at this
I think
point,
just a little bit.
I just think for me, it's like Porzingis hasn't brought a lot of value in a very long time. Ever since he was a Knick, like he hasn't brought
Yeah.
that same Porzingis that you were looking for. Like you were hoping that Porzingis would
yeah,
be like this, like
He was really good on defense so far this season, though. He's been
he's always been
very
pretty
good.
solid on defense.
you need
Yeah,
him for
Porzingis
the
has.
O.
he had his moments with the Knicks where it was like, what the hell is this guy doing?
You
But
need him for the offense, and he hasn't brought
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
I just think when you compare him to Dinwiddie, who's having like an all-time stinker season right now, and then that awful Travis Bertans contract, like this is one of those things where I could not believe there weren't like a first or two firsts added on by the Wizards to get him. Like
Yeah,
that's not even saying KP is super valuable. I really don't think he is. I just think they took on a bad contract. Like in years prior, that Davis Bertans contract would have gotten a first round pick
mm-hmm.
or the other team just to take him on,
Yeah,
right?
I
well,
agree.
too, isn't he
Then
from where Luca's from?
I don't know. I don't think
I
so.
think.
No, I don't think
Davis
No,
so.
I don't think.
Bertans.
Not Bertans. What they're
Okay,
hoping.
but he's an
the
international player though. They love
Yeah, he is.
international players with Dallas. So
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing that they're going to hope for as well is that Goran Dragic is going to be bought out, and then they can add him to the roster. And I think that's
Oh,
the
dude,
lineup.
Davis Bertans is from Latvia. He's from where Porzingis is from.
A Latvian for a Latvian.
They traded a Latvian for a Latvian. He was the Latvian Laser, apparently, was his nickname. Nobody's ever called him that because he doesn't hit shots, but
oh yeah, he
nickname.
was. Wow.
Yeah.
Nickname.
Yeah. And we'll see what
Did Harold get
happens.
traded?
Montrez? No.
To
Okay, I
Charlotte.
thought he did. Oh, okay. Yeah, he did.
Not to the,
He went
not
to,
to the
Trez is on
Mavericks.
Charlotte now.
yeah, he's on the Hornets.
That's actually a good pickup for them, too. He fits their team really well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's my first question. Dallas, I couldn't believe that trade. I just was really shocked at like lack of any return, specifically just not getting a big back in return. Like, what in God's name are you doing? Right? It just made me think like this is a team that is destined to watch Luka walk away. Like destined. They're creating a situation where they're not going to be good enough to keep this
Yeah.
kid happy.
Lucas screams like LA type of player for some reason for
New
me.
York,
From
baby.
New York, New
Let's
York,
go.
LA.
Buy 10
He
of his
just doesn't
jerseys,
scream
baby.
Dallas. Like just his whole swag and everything.
Like he could be though. He could be. It's more you take like because really, let's look at KP in general. What they gave up to get KP when they already had Luca, right?
Mhm.
Gave up a ton to get him, and then you get him, and he's not what you hoped he was. And then you
Mhm.
give him away for a bag of chips and a half-empty soda from the vending machine, right?
Mhm.
Like they've given up so much stuff the first half of this decade with nothing to show for it.
I
They
know.
can't build a team like Memphis has anymore. They can't do that. They
Yeah.
don't have the flexibility with all they've given up. So it's one of those things where you look at it and it's just like, are you guys punting too hard on some of this stuff? You're giving up before you're giving up to an extent where now you can't even recover from the choices you've made. You have Jason Kidd as your head coach. You have a ton of role players and Luka. You don't have any stars besides
It seems like
Luka.
Mark Cuban's not as inclined with the players in constructing a championship team, and it seems like he's more into business. Like I know he just launched his healthcare thing for prescription drugs and everything. That's fine and dandy, but it seems like he's just more on the business side now, more than constructing his team roster. Like he, know what I'm saying?
Maybe that's the logic, right? If Luka's your one guy, he can be a mega star, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing I could come up with of like, we're going to get rid of KP, who's kind of a star. Like people know who this dude is. He's big. He's a unicorn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luka now is the guy. He's the guy. There's no competition.
Yeah.
So in my head, it was either maybe this is what Luka wants and they're just giving him what he wants, or you just really want to push Luka because you saw that first game, he puts up 51, 28 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a guy who can do that for the next 15 years, think about the money you're bringing in.
But two,
right?
I think they want to attract some free agents. I don't think a lot of players who are superstars or on the market, I don't think they would want to come if Porzingis was there. With Luka balling like this, putting up 51. And, there's a lot of players who are going to be free agents in the summer. They're going to be looking at this like, damn, Luka,
get that
he's averaging 37 points a game. He doesn't have any help.
They need
what I'm saying? They're going to want to flee there.
They need to get rid of some
taxes.
of these contracts. They're going to have to get rid of some of these contracts for it to happen.
They didn't even win on, that's the biggest problem with that logic, Tyrese. I agree with you. Like, they're trying to get somebody to come there with him, right?
Yeah, that's the logic. Psychology.
They didn't even clear that much cap space. Like,
no.
AP's contract was bad, but they took Davis Bertans. He's not an expiring. He's on 3 years left, and he makes 25 or something.
Yeah.
Like,
something screams that it's going to be a sign and trade coming.
Dude, that's one of the 5 worst contracts in the whole league they traded for, right? That is not the way you clear cap space to sign a free agent. I've never done anything in a front office. I've never even sniffed a front office. I can tell you for sure that's not how you get a big star to come in.
No, it's common sense. Like, we know
it's
just
crazy.
Come on. We know the basic information, how they know it. Like it's come on. It's easy.
They're screwed. Man. They're screwed. I mean, they're 22nd in cap space, so they're obviously, up there with the Warriors being up there, Atlanta Hawks, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, these teams are all cap fronted or loaded. And, I just think it's going to be a tough time unless they make trade. They have to make a trade. Like, there's no way that they can get the salary cap to match what they need for the offseason unless they trade. And
that was a disgusting trade. Did you see? I think they ended up with the rights to. Might be crazy. Didn't they end up with the rights to Dragic too?
I think so.
I think, they did.
Did you see that the report came out that he's probably not going to play in Dallas either?
He's going to get bought out because they're way over the cap.
They need him. That's the guy they needed of all the players they got.
Dragic going to LA.
I mean, realistically, yeah. Why not?
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a perfect fit.
But at this point, though, I think Dragic's trying to win, man. Like, he's not trying to go to the Lakers and try to win 7 games in a row just to try to get an ace spot.
Yeah,
like
true.
He's not winning with Dwight Powell at center. He's not winning with Dwight Powell at center, man.
You got Dwight Powell and
Max Kleber. Yeah, Max Kleber. Like, they're not winning with that.
Kleber. I like it's like Wiz Khalifa's German cousin.
He could go to Philly too, for all we know.
He could. I don't know, man. That Dallas, that was an all-timer worst trade deadline I've seen for a team that has one of the greatest 22-year-olds ever to live at basketball. Like, what are you guys doing with yourselves? I don't know. I can't stand Dallas in general, but that was exceptionally bad. I actually feel really bad for Dallas fans.
Mark's not
the next
worried about
trade
that.
I wanted to ask you guys about just quickly too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys talked about the McCollum to the Pelicans trade. Did you guys get a chance?
We talked about it.
Yeah, we did. We did.
What did you guys think about that one?
You want to go first, or?
Sure, I'll go first. Okay. I thought of it as kind of like too little, too late. for the Blazers side of things, because I think they could have gotten a lot more value if they would have traded him. Like we talked about, Pete. I feel like we're just a broken record when we come to this stuff. Like 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, this team should have been broken up and just trade CJ McCollum and have a new person come in. They could have gotten a lot more stuff going on. But at the end of the day, you know, I think that this was actually a good. I think this was a decent pickup by the Pelicans. I think that this, whether Zion Williamson stays or not, they have another like kind of scorer to support Brandon Ingram, and so I think that it's not the. I would say that the Pelicans won because they didn't have to give up too much. I felt like compared to the Blazers, where I felt like they could have gotten more, but that was a couple of years back. So that's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say that I think it was a good trade for them just because for the Pelicans, because they're not really going to have anyone go there in like terms of McCollum's caliber, and I wouldn't even label that as high caliber, but he's a solid star. I think they were kind of just like, well, we got to try to make Zion happy. If we can get McCollum, maybe we can try to make a run for that 10th spot and try to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was a decent trade. I don't know. Like,
I don't really understand why. Like, I don't understand why Portland thought that was the best they could get. That doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, to end up with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Josh Hart being the two best things you ended up with, like, they're good players. I like both of those guys. I was actually really hoping the Knicks were going to trade for Josh Hart because I love him as a role player. That being said, he's a role player, right? And you traded a guy who, by all accounts, should have been an all-star at some point in his career. I don't think he ever was, right? CJ McCollum?
I'll double check that.
He's close a few times, but he never made it, I don't think.
I think he went to one all-star, I think.
Whatever the case, they didn't get anything even close to the value in return for a guy like that they should have. But I also don't really like the trade for the Pelicans either. Like, I don't really understand. The only reason it's not a loss for the Pelicans is because they didn't give up very much. Like, gave up a protected 2022 first and some role players, right? That's not that bad, but it's also one of those things of like, is this really enough? Like, are you guys still not doing enough to make this team good? Because their team is still weird. I still don't like it. Like, think fully healthy what their lineup is. It's Jonas Valanciunas at the 5. It's Zion at the 4, but he's kind of the point guard too. Then you have CJ and Brandon Ingram, and then whoever the 5th is, right? That's a weird team. It's a really weird team. And I'm not sure that team would play very well together because there's a lot of people who need to take their shots. And I just am not sure that they're all very consistent shot takers, right? And then they have no role players to even speak of, but beyond those guys. So, I don't know. It's a weird one. I am not as upset with it for CJ McCollum. Like, I was actually bummed for CJ McCollum when I saw the trade. Like, that was my first reaction. I really like CJ McCollum. He's been around for a long time. And he's one of those guys where you look at what he's done for a team that really has not given him and Dame a lot to work with over the last 10 years. He just kept going and playing the best he could and doing his thing. He had that one crazy Game 7 in the playoffs where he put up like 38 points to win the game.
Exactly.
This dude deserves better than to go to a team like New Orleans, if you ask me. I think if you're...
But no one wants to take on that contract.
That's tough, That's the tough part.
And he's 30. He's 30 now. So, and he hasn't gotten over the hump with Dame. So it's kind of like...
I really think there were teams that would have taken him. Like the Knicks came out, and there was a lot of reports saying they were trying to trade for CJ. There's no way whatever package they were going to send is worse than what the Pelicans sent. I'm just like... guaranteeing you, they have better players on the back end than the Pelicans do.
If another team did trade for CJ, it would have been a trash team, man. It would have been someone like the Knicks, a team that's really not like
think you could have gotten none of those players. And they didn't even keep Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He ended up going to the Jazz, I believe, for Joe Ingles in that one trade.
Yeah,
I just don't think the market was very demanding for CJ. I don't think a lot of teams wanted.
They waited way too long.
Because that contract, man. And then his injury too that he had. So, that played a role.
We'll see what happens. But
Last one.
last one. All
Last
right,
one, I
let's do it.
promise. Celtics fans, what do you guys think about Derek White?
I was hoping we were going to bring this up. Yeah, I like
Actually,
it,
no, no,
man.
no. I said Derek White. I meant Daniel Tice. I would like to just talk about him. No, I'm kidding. Let's talk about Derek White.
Oh man,
German for
Tice
German.
baby, huh? Um, yeah, I like it. I think we're gonna be really. I think we're gonna be good, man. I think we can climb up to that fourth spot, maybe.
Oh,
I think
oh, I don't
that's the
disagree
kind of point
necessarily.
guard we were missing. A slasher, someone who can play defense with smart on the floor. If we go small, at least we have defense. He can get to the cup. He can pass the ball. As I don't know if you guys seen the game last night, but he was throwing
Hmm.
some dimes.
He was
Um,
nice. He was
he got you.
nice
Come
last
on, man.
night.
He got his 15 straight off the plane.
Yeah.
He
From
didn't even know he
7
was
from
playing
3.
until an hour before. Like, come
It
on.
was nice.
It's that San
No,
Antonio
I
in
like
him.
that trade a lot for the Celtics. I was a fan of that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we got Tice back. I think we can really make a run here. I don't know if we can get to the finals, but I know we could probably get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Good.
Yeah.
I think it's tough no matter how you shake it. But
Just
you guys,
because I think the
I think you got
Bucks, we
better.
still have their number, man. I think the Bucks, they're very good, but for
So
some
I think
reason,
that's tough.
if a young Tatum can beat them, man, like I think we just weren't ourselves the last 2 years. But if this team could get rolling how we were 2 years ago, I think we can beat the Bucks in a 7 game. It'll be tough, but I think we can beat them. Or the Sixers. These were teams that we had their number, man. It's not like these teams just been rolling
You
through
play the
the
Bucks good.
East. Yeah, we
You play
come
the
on.
Bucks.
20-year-old Tatum beat the Bucks
I
and the
mean, they did have
Sixers.
Eric Bledsoe, who had like one of the worst playoff series of all time in that series.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. They
But
played
even
they
the
played the
season
Bucks good.
after that, right? Didn't we beat them again?
Yeah, but we gotta focus on the now, Tyrese. Like we are
Yeah,
still a
Giannis is
team.
so much better.
Like Giannis is a lot better. I just think the problem with the Celtics has always been like, and I think Derek White's a great player, and I think it's a great addition to the team. Obviously, he's going to add a lot of dynamics to our basically our bench. Like we finally have a reliable bench scorer that we've been desperately needing. My only thing is that we're still the same team that just gives up the lead and just loses the games when we should be winning them. Like for some reason, we just don't have that mental capacity to like get over that hump. Like we're still like stuck there. Like we just can't get over it, and we're still going to be stuck trying to go up, and then we just go back down. And I just think that the Celtics are going to be they're going to be a solid team. Like I think we'll obviously make the playoffs, but at the same time, I'm not convinced that we're going to be a team that instantly changes the way that we've been playing. I think obviously
Well,
Derek White adds a good dynamic, and we've been on this winning
that's a
streak.
huge boost. That's a huge boost, man, because if you look at it, we didn't have a guy off the bench who can give us 10 to 15 points 15 points consistently. That's a lot of points. You're talking about 15 points. You know what I'm saying? Even if we do lose the lead, at least we can scramble back and have a chance to win. I think that the Derek White acquisition changes us a whole lot than a lot of people think, man. That's 15 points off the bench, and this guy, he's a vet. He's been with one of the best coaches of all time. He's coachable. I think
Yeah,
this
that
is a
helps.
big acquisition for us, man. It's not like we have Romeo Langford off the bench anymore, who can only give us 3 or 4 points with bad defense and no key passing. This was huge for us. I think. I think this makes us dangerous.
Only thing I'll agree with Bernie on is as far as like looking at your team, one of the biggest things, and Bernie, the three of us have talked about this to death too, is like mentality of the Celtics team is always like the biggest question, right? Like, do they really have what it takes to win when it comes down to it? And they didn't really address that in the slightest. Like they didn't bring in that vet who's going to get them all like in line when it comes down to
Yeah.
it, right?
Well,
But
I think
I
they're
do like
older
the trade.
now.
Yeah, I mean,
They've
maybe
been through battles, man. I think that
you saw
that
the first
stuff
half
was
of the
like through,
season though.
I think that stuff was through Kyrie, the Kyrie stuff and the trade rumors with Jay on now. I think that was the mentality and the mind stuff that was messing with them. Now they're rolling. They're roll. They know the East is talent is accessible to get to that first spot. And they're like, oh man, these teams not too long. Like they don't fear none of these teams. I don't think because they beat. I know you're saying like, yeah, that was a couple years ago, but hey, they beat them. I think now they're like, hey, we can beat any team. We just got to play together. You know what I'm saying? And I think with the Derek White's acquisition, I think that changes a whole lot for us, man. Like I really do, man. Like that's 14 to 15 points off the bench we were missing that we didn't have.
A good backup for
And
you guys
Tice too. He can stretch the
Mhm.
floor. He knows I think
You
this
guys
was
waived
huge for us.
and his freedom, didn't you?
Yeah, he was trash. I didn't like him. He had slow
I mean,
No,
mobility.
we traded him.
was.
He was part of that trade to the Rockets.
And then
really?
he got cut.
Oh,
Yeah.
he got waived.
Yeah,
from
then he
the
got waived from the Rockets. And his
Yeah.
freedom.
So I think this
Just he's really feeling that freedom right now, isn't he?
Freedom.
he'll probably get picked up by the Knicks again. Watch.
Freedom from a job. Yeah, he probably will come to the Knicks, unfortunately.
Yeah. The only area for me is just Grant Williams. You know, as much as I think he's improved as a shooter, it's like
I like Grant Williams.
He's a good guy, man. Like he can.
Man, you were making fun of him the whole
time.
time at the beginning of the season, man.
Yeah,
you were making
but
the 6'6" power forward.
Yeah, I know,
Hey.
but he can get some. He could get some good blocks. Like he had a couple good blocks. He just does some stupid like fouls and stuff.
As the non-Celtics fan of the three of us, I feel like you guys like I kind of defended your team to you more than both of you did. I feel like we're finally getting to see the Celtics like that they should have been in the beginning. Like this team is not bad. They have a lot.
No.
Like, 5 that you guys are going to end up running out as your starting 5 is Derek White, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Robert Williams. That is a nice starting 5 in the league, right? That's one of the better young lineups there is in the league. So that's one guy you changed from the team starting this season. Like this team was never that bad. It was just the mentality, which is why I come back to that. Like that could always infect their play again, and they could play down to that mentality at some point this season and go on some 5-6 game losing stretch where it's just like who's taking the final shot, right? I don't think that's going to happen, but it could, right? It could.
I don't think so either, just because a lot of the things that were mentally messing with us was the trade deadline. Hey, is Jaylen Brown going to get traded? Hey, is, Dennis Schroeder wasn't kind of liked in the locker room. Like all that stuff played a role, man. Like now they have a guy who's been around, who's played with Tatum Brown in the FIBA Cup, who knows Will, who knows MA, who's played with Greg Popovich. He's coachable, he's disciplined, he can play defense, he can shoot the ball. I think it's a good acquisition. I would honestly love him off the bench for us and start out at the 5 or 4. Okay. Just because we need that spark. And then
you guys should put, like, I was thinking Marcus Smart should be your 6. Have him be your 6th man. I mean, like, put him out as your, like, in the leading your second rotation. Like,
yeah,
dude,
that's true.
Nobody's going to match that.
See, that's the good thing. We have a lot of flexibility now, too, that we got Tice now. We can run a lot of schemes now. We can run a lot of schemes that we couldn't have before now, because Derek White changes a lot of things compared to Schroeder. Because Schroeder can play defense. He's taking 3-point shots that he has no business taking. He's more aggressive than Schroeder, at least currently now this year. So I don't know, man. I'm bullish on us back again, man. I'm very bullish on us. Like Tatum's looking like a 2018 Tatum out there, man. Like his shot selection, his aggressiveness, his passion he's showing. I don't know, man. I'm getting flashbacks. Like I don't know if I'm overreacting, but I'm getting flashbacks to like 2018, like making runs when everyone counted us out type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a wait and see. Obviously Udoka is going to have his work cut out for him in terms of what lineup he likes, what's going to happen
there. Getting better too.
Yeah, he is.
Udoka, he's starting to actually have rotations and have players come in and out of the lineup that should be coming in and out. So
it's just great.
If I'm a Celtics fan, which I'm not, but
I'm just excited to see us. I'm excited to see us play a great team because I know we've been playing very bad teams. Like the Nuggets was the better team we probably played out of this 7-game win streak. So I want to see us play. Who we play next? Let's see.
Playing the Hawks.
We play the Hawks. I want to see us against the Sixers. That's going to be a game that I'm circling on my birthday too. That's going to be okay. If we beat them in Philly, we're back.
Be a good one. Yeah,
with James
Denver.
there.
I mean, Denver's good, but like if they didn't have Jokic as a wizard, like that team is probably the worst team in the league. So,
oh yeah,
it's
not
the greatest win, but
it's not the greatest, but he is an MVP type candidate. But
I agree. Even
though they are missing Murray.
Him, Embiid, and Giannis are my top 3 players in the league right now.
Yeah,
and healthy KD.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
So we'll see, man. I think we can beat Philly on my birthday. I think we can. I think we're back.
Yeah, it's still a wait and see for me, but let us know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this acquisition for the Celtics? Is it one that you're excited for as Celtics fans, or are you concerned with the way that the teams around the league have gotten a lot better? It's going to be a very interesting situation to see just like what's going on around the NBA. Let us know in the comment section down below as well. Who are your biggest winners and losers from the NBA trade deadline? And we're also going to look at the buyout market as well. There's a lot of teams interested in some of these players that potentially could be on a new team coming into the playoff season as it rolls along. But let us know in the comment section down below.